Looking back on it, it actually was a bit too much. Thank you to our $5 patrons, RedWolf4765, Midnight Gemlord, and Sean. And a very big thank you to our $25 patron, Alex Ice Rose. Now, we're having this breakdown / discussion on how Bond's Immortality was, like, dummy cracked, like, stupid cracked. Like, you know, maybe it did have to get banned from competitive play. Kinda cracked? Please leave your own thoughts on Bond's Immortality in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, hit that little notification bell to miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below. Each result as one, cut $1 a month. Exclusive videos, early content, and more. Also, now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Now, let's hop into the discussion. What's up, guys? I'm Pencil here, and here we are to talk about Bond's Immortality and how, like, hindsight being 2020. It really was arguably the best ability in the entire series, especially considering how this series treated it despite it having a very clear answer. Let's talk about it. The thing about Bond's Immortality is that for a majority of the narrative before he got his Purgatory amp, obviously, it backpacked him. Like, you never necessarily had to worry about Bond too much. Even though there was a massive reason to, you never did. Because the one answer that was existing to Bond's Immortality was never used by, like, the countless characters who could have used it. So Bond kind of just survived everything. And, you know, obviously, a mortal dude, that makes sense. But we gotta think about some of the things Bond has survived through his immortality. Number one, bro has been split in half. Like, straight bisected down the middle. And he's not like a demon, right? Because we've seen demons get split in half within Seven Deadly Sins. We've seen goddesses get split in half. Heck, no, we haven't seen giants and fairies. Usually when giants and fairies get split in half, they end up just... But at least with goddesses and demons, we saw that. But, like, Bond got, like, a clear cut. Meliodas dove through his center. Like, straight up, at least Galen got, like, cleanly cut in half. It was Rita. You know, at least Tarmiel got bisected by Galen. You know, it was his halberd. No, Bond got legitimately bisected down the middle with Meliodas' bare demonic hands. Meliodas didn't form a dark blade or anything. Bro got cut in half and he got up now 5 seconds later. I don't even think we saw it. We don't even see it, how he grew back. So there may just be a pair of Bond legs existing. Because presumably he grows up from, like, wherever the brain is, unless the brain is destroyed. Oh, speaking of the brain being destroyed, Galen literally crushed his head. Now, obviously, I'm the last kind of person that will be like, we gotta apply certain rules to fiction. But, like, just thinking about it logistically, Galen straight up, for a reason, crushed his head and was like, yo, not gonna lie, whether you demon, goddess, vampiric, undead, I crush your head and that's enough said. Now someone go get me my bread and I need my wife to come give me some. And we have the idea that Bond kind of just grew it back and had all his memories intact. Like, there was nothing wrong with that. Like, if you got your head crushed, I know, random daily occurrence, but, you know, walking down the street and you get your head crushed, if you were usually just able to simultaneously grow your brain back 5 seconds later, you wouldn't have the memories because they would have been crushed. But Bond kind of just sat back up like nothing happened. You know, your entire body's pretty much controlled by your brain, right? Like, it's sending signals here and there. Nah, Bond, pop that bad boy back on like it was doing nothing. That's a little bit bonkers if you ask me. Bro's been, like, crushed into paste, like, underneath things, and people did not matter. Did not matter. Bro got right back up like it was no big deal. Even one of the more basic, interesting feats of his longevity, bro doesn't need to eat or drink or anything, and his body stays in a prime state. Like, it'd be one thing, right? Like, notably, when we see him in the narrative for the first time, he was strapped up in Baste Dungeon for, what, 10 years? No food, no water, no sunlight. Hypothetically, if we were to give you just, like, conventional longevity, you would still need to maintain it. You would still need to eat, drink, you know, maybe see the sun a little bit. No, not Bond. Bond stayed in perfect prime physical condition, looking better and more well-built than half the people you know or half the people you could even find online, with nothing. And then the moment he pulled them stakes out his arm, he was just like, oh, well, good. Oh, I need a haircut, though. That's crazy. That's a little bit bonkers, just on a longevity thing. So the immortality works on multiple levels. It just keeps Bond in the prime 20-year-old, not 20-year-old, I think it was like 23-year-old state that he was in, for as long as forever, with no problems at all. Not a single issue. Like, you know what the other crazy thing is? Bro was turned into blood. Like straight up nothing but droplets of blood. Remember, when he pulled up on the Ten Commandments, hit Malaska with the full 180 on her dome piece, and was like, yeah, you know, I'm him. Don't worry, Mel, I got you. Let me save you. And then he got blitzed by Estarossa, and they proceeded to hop on Estarossa's back. And then we proceeded to see one of the strongest variations of Bond we've ever seen. Like, him absorbing and using Hunter's Festival and all the Ten Commandments at once was pretty darn impressive. Like, bro must have had gains out the wazoo. You saw how beefy he was. Yeah, bro detonated. Like, legit, there's not limbs left. Like, every other previous example I brought up so far, hypothetically, I can kind of understand it. Like, okay, getting cut in half. We've seen other species do that and come back just fine, and they don't have genuine immortality from the Fountain of Youth. I can let that rock. Getting your head crushed, that does seem to be a GG for most creatures, as it should be. But, you know, maybe I can let that slide. You had the rest of your body there, at least. You know, even hypothetically, being stuck in the same state permanently for 16 years with nothing, 10 years, let me correct myself, 10 years, with nothing but some hair growth, I can even let that slide. Estarossa turned him into a piñata, dog. Bro was legit, a little bit over here, a little bit over there, a little bit everywhere. He had no limbs. He didn't even have bones. Like, we gotta realize how crazy, it's a weird, like, disintegration field on Estarossa's front. But, like, straight up, there was nothing left over other than blood splatter. Meaning, all of Bond's bones got turned into a nice, fresh, hot curry on the ground, infused by hunting magic. You know what Bond did? Showed back up like nothing happened. Like, what did he even regenerate from? Like, in that very specific case, what did he even regenerate from? I cannot tell you. Was it just like a random droplet? Was it a brain? Like, what? It is crazy. And, like, I'm not sure how long it took him to regenerate either, because we don't see him until the time skip. But presumably it didn't take that long. It took long enough that the Ten Commandments didn't notice him and try to off him again. But still, the fact that he managed to come back from that at all, being literal just droplets of blood, is insane. It's actually a little bit kooky. Like, can you imagine if Bond was actually, like, physically relevant for a majority of the series and not just the back fourth of it? I'd say third, but realistically the back fourth, because he only gets relevant around the 260s, 270s, maybe at the latest. So around the back fourth of the series, imagine if Bond was actually decently strong throughout a majority of it. I don't think we could have a plot, because if you can't get rid of him by literally turning him into a blood splatter on the wall or on the floor, pick your poison, how are you supposed to get rid of him? How is he not supposed to automatically win every fight? And notably, I'm in the camp where I believe demonic regeneration is crazy. Look at what Hendrickson did from just drinking some demon blood. Not even really being a proper demon himself, being a human infused with demon blood and drinking some of that good top tier stuff that was probably diluted by human blood too. We got to think about it. Fraudulent was in Travis's body unless he, like, cut into himself and, like, he altered his biology so his demon arm, like, he got impartial demonic blood. And Hendrickson was out here getting his whole half of his body regenerated, getting sliced up like sushi and just casually growing it all back, getting arms reattached like it was nobody's business. But even still, it just pales in comparison to having your whole entire body getting blown apart and coming back 5 weeks later. It was more than 5 weeks, it was like 6 months, but still 5 weeks later, and then being just fine, like nothing happened. And obviously, you have the big one. Purgatory. Like, nobody was able to survive Purgatory. Purgatory isn't even necessarily supposed to be a place that allows regular existence when you really think about it. It's meant to be a pseudo afterlife. We don't know why. No idea what. Presumably it's because chaos was sealed there in the first place. I'm assuming that's the only reason there are even living creatures that could exist in Purgatory, that led to Wild, that led to Hawk, that led to the Purgatory beast that Meliodas and Bond were hunting. But for the most part, the non-natural inhabitants of Purgatory are souls that have, you know, ceased the living, that go there. So you're not even really supposed to be anything more than an astral form there. And you know what Bond did? Bro just evolved. Like, evolution live on air. Bro just straight up said, so I'm not supposed to be here, but I kind of want to be, though. You know what? I have an idea. By golly gee Scott, fellas, I have a plan. And bada bing, bada boom, he was just there for long enough that he ignored the toxic environment that immediately, like, GG'd any other living creature that wasn't naturally from there, from the Mother of Chaos. Like, Chaos built creatures to live there. If Only by pure accident and lack of intention, I would presume. I don't think Chaos was fully conscious in the Hawk Mama body. I highly doubt that, or else it probably would have left. So Chaos accidentally made creatures that could live there. Bond was a creature made by Chaos, or descendants of things made by Chaos, that was not meant to be there under any circumstance and just adapted. Why? Because of his immortality. That was it. That was it. Bro spent 1,000 years in a separate dimension that was designed to remove him from existence, and he was just like, yeah, it's fine. That's light. That's light. That's light. He adapted so well that even after he lost the immortality, he might as well have just been a bootleg immortal. Nothing unnatural would have gotten rid of Bond, and probably still won't. Presumably, bro adapted to the most hostile environment we have ever seen within the verse. One of the most hostile environments I've seen outside of like literally the void of space. Like the only more hostile environment is the place that doesn't even have an atmosphere. At least Purgatory had an atmosphere, but still the fact that Bond was able to adapt to that is so cracked and crazy. That immortality was something else. And the wild thing is, right, there's one answer to it that multiple characters have, but they just never used it on him. Like, the fact that Nakaba kind of just slid in there, like, underneath the rug. Like, hey, fun fact, fellas, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you know what you can do to stop Bond's immortality? This crazy cracked thing that he has access to? Well, you see, that scar, that came from Hellblaze. Yet we never see any demon use it on him. And admittedly, obviously, he runs, the fights he kind of has don't facilitate it being used on him realistically. Like, he fights Galland, who has never shown Hellblaze. He should presumably have it. If red demons have Purgatory Flame, that he should have Hellblaze. But I think Hellblaze is specifically what's required. I don't think it's just basic Purgatory Flame, or else he would have lost to the red demon. So he doesn't have it against Galland. Melaskala never shows it. Recently, she should have it. She's a sorceress, or more of a sorceress than she's a physical fighter, at least based on my mind. But she doesn't use it. We've never seen her use it, so it'd be hard to assume that she does. He never fights Mount Speed. Esterosa didn't, this is sad, but Esterosa didn't see him as a threat, so I can see why he didn't use Hellblaze on him. But it just, all the situations where it could have been done, it makes sense why it didn't happen. Because, like, actually, to be fair, Chandler should have used it on him. He definitely should have used it on him. Especially since Bond literally says to Chandler, oh yeah, I'm immortal. And Chandler literally goes like, so what? Instead of just doing the win thing, he should have definitely just smacked him in the face with some Hellblaze. That would have been a GG. That's crazy. The only other thing that we've seen have any real impact on Bond's immortality was Melaskala's acid, of all things. It didn't even really stop it. Like, it just slowed it down. But Bond recovered, once again, within like 5 minutes. So even slowing down his immortality is just realistically a non-factor. I get why Nakaba took it away. Like, legitimately, just upon reflection, notably I'm writing, it's almost done. This is why you don't work on so many videos at once, or at least video scripts. When I have free time and I'm not in front of the mic, I'm usually like on my phone typing in a script. So I do have what if based around Bond's immortality. But when I was writing that, I realized like how much it breaks the plot once Bond actually has strength to go along with it, because he was definitely being backpacked by his immortality. So at first, I would get on Nakaba's case, because I'm like, why would you do this to Bond? Why would you nerf him so hard? Why would you do this to our boy, giving him only a quarter series worth of relevance? Unless you want to give him, like, season 1 of Seven Deadly Sins, as he has relevance there, too, which he does. So I say, like, why only make him relevant for about half the series? I see why. Because if he was as powerful, or at least relative to a lot of the other cast members, and he still had the immortality, he kind of breaks the story. Because, like, he's in that weird spot where you know Bond isn't really going to go in Seven Deadly Sins. So you just don't necessarily have tension unless he's weak and he can't do anything. You have to rely on other characters. So you know what? Nakaba, you may have had a point, dog. However, that's what I think. Please let me know what you guys think about Bond's immortality in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure the notifications most miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below. Each one as low as $1 Dama, exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Now, thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That Guy with the Pencil, writing off.